Hello and g'day. In today's video we're making vellum picture pockets. I've got two styles for you to make. Got this lovely little vintage style here. This one you can have freehold like this and then just pop it into a pocket in your journal. And then we've got this one here that is actually meant to be sewn directly onto a page. There's two ways of putting it onto the page. You can sew it directly onto the page like this one, or you can sew it first and then glue it on the page if you don't want to see your stitches on the other side. So this one is the glued method. I've got the patterns available on my website. I'll put the description below, so you can just go and click on the link there and it'll take you to the website and you'll be able to download this 2-page pattern. All you need to do is print them out. I've printed them on 170 GSM, but you could just print them on the 150 to 200 GSM, as long as it's a good weight cardstock, because you need to be able to put it on your vellum and be able to trace around it. So we've got pattern A and pattern B. When you cut down this line here, it is entirely up to you whether you cut out the thumb hole. If you've got one of these little punches, either a circle or an oval, you can cut straight down there and just use this later on. So let's get started and make the first pocket. Right, we're going to make this pocket first. It's just a side slide pocket. Just get your pattern, and it, like I said, it's designed to go on a page. So if you're making a page, this one is an A5 size. Just say you're making a smaller page than that. Okay. So this page is a little bit narrower than the A5. So this is going to be too big for there. What you can do is you just put your pattern on there and just cut it off to be shorter. So you would just mark your pattern out on your vellum. So you've got your piece of vellum here. Instead of marking it out all the way to there, just move it across and just make your pattern a bit shorter to the right width that's going to fit on your page. So you want it a little bit smaller. You don't want it too close to the fold line or the cut edge of your page. You can use tracing paper or vellum. For this particular pocket, I would suggest that you don't use a very heavy vellum. So you've got vellum comes in a very heavy form. This one's a lot stiffer than this one. This one's nice and light. This one's quite stiff. And mark across a square sort of around the edges of your corners. The first thing we're going to do is cut that piece out. Get rid of your pencil lines. Now we need to put this back on and mark the top score line and the bottom score line. So I'm just going to shimmy it down a little bit there like that, and put a pencil mark on that score line and that score line. Then I'm going to move it up this way, square it up, and I'm going to mark the bottom as well. While I'm there, I'm going to mark the center of my punch hole. Now, like I said, you can either cut that out and have that cut by hand or use your punch. Now you can then, if you haven't got a scoreboard, you can use little stylus markers. They've got a little ball on the end. You can use that and just score that line there. As long as you've got a fold line, a score mark to fold that piece in, or you can get your scoreboard out and score that down. But whatever you do, just make sure it's straight. Don't score too heavy or you'll rip through your paper, because this is very fine paper. Rub off those lines. And just fold that top and bottom line over. Right. Now I know this is the side where I'm going to feed the photo in because I've got my halfway mark there. I'm going to use the punch now, and a good tip to use the punch, especially when you're using vellum, is to put a piece of the scrap cardboard. You'll have plenty of scrap left over when you cut out your pattern piece. Just put that behind the vellum, turn your punch over so you can see the back side, and just cut your thumb hole. Just say this is your paper page. This is an A4. I'm going to fold this over, work out the halfway mark. When you fold an A4, it becomes an A5 paper size. So that's now my page. And you work out where you want to put it. You might want to put it there. You might want to put it there. You might want to put it there like that. You can certainly put it any orientation you like. You might want to put two. If you really wanted to, you could sew all the way through and down that side and here. But I quite like it just with the top and the bottom stitched and leave that free. It's not going anywhere. And that's why we've got these little slide pieces, because that holds your ephemera in place and it sits quite firm, and it's going to take a fair bit to get that out if you're using the book. It's not going to fall out. If you wanted to sew this directly onto this page, you can come along and put a couple of glue dots. So I would put 1, 2, 3, and just use your glue like a pin, and you would do the same on the bottom, and you would pop that straight on there like that, and then sew all the way through your paper, and I'll show you the difference. You've got the look of no stitches on the back and stitches on the back. I know which I prefer. Now you can use either a straight stitch or you can use a zigzag. They both look pretty good. So I'll just go over to the sewing machine, sew that down, and I'll be back in a second. All right, now I've sewn that down. All right, this one here, we can always come back later on and put a pocket over the top of that. So your choice how you deal with this. This one here, see this, how there's a little loop formed there? So you pull the bobbin stitch and then grab that loop and pull it out, and you've got the stitches both on one side, and that neatens up the front, and then you tie that knot. So I'll do it again. So you just grab the bobbin stitch, pull it, and it forms a tiny little loop there. Pull that loop through, tie those knots together, and then snip them off. I'll just show you this one glued in. I've tied the threads off at the back the same way as I just showed you, and that makes it perfectly neat at the front. So I'll just grab my Barely Art glue. This dries clear. It's perfect to use behind vellum. I'm just gonna run it along both sides of the stitches. You won't be going anywhere. Turn it over and just glue it in place. Make it parallel with the other one. Because I've got the stitches there to work around, I just need to make sure it grabs. So just use your fingers and push it down because we need that glue to hold. And that way you've got the look of no stitches on the back and stitches on the back. I know which I prefer. Again, it all comes back to whether or not you're going to cover that over with something. And you would not know that that was not sewn directly into the book. You know, they both look like they're sewn into the book. All you need to do then is grab either a tag or something that's, you know, going to fit in there, and if you use a tag it'll hang out the side. If you just use some ephemera, I use tweezers to put it in because I don't want to stretch the vellum open. I want it to lay nice and flat. Once it's in your book for a little while, it will lay flatter again. So it's just giving that little hint of something behind the vellum, and you can take it out. If you don't want to glue your ephemera down or glue your pictures down, this is perfect because it's just going to have it sitting there. You can grab it to use later on. You won't be destroying your photographs, and it looks really cool behind the vellum. So let's pop that in our makeshift journal. And then you've got room to put a picture at the top. I just put, this is a picture of my mum, and these are her tickets that she won. Like, this is first prize for paper towel in 1995. So I'm going to put this in my own journal. So I just used some clear corners to put the photo on here so it didn't detract from anything. And I'll be putting these little keepsakes. This one's for tassels. She got first prize. My mum was an absolutely beautiful crafter. Okay, so now I'll show you the second one. Right, this little photo frame here is a good one to have because you can put it, you can leave it free like this, or you can glue it into your page. If it's free like this, you can just pop it into a pocket and then take it out. Again, you're not going to damage your photo. You can just take it out easily. It just slips in there and it looks so pretty behind the vellum. It's perfect if you want to give something in Happy Mail. So if you want to just print this out, this image is from the Graphics Fairy, by the way. So if you want to give this to someone as a gift, make a little vellum picture pocket, put that in there. You can even put a note on the back, and there's the most beautiful presented photo. And it's just something that little bit different. Again, you need your pattern piece and some of the finer vellum, not too heavy. It's got 2 folds, so you cut your pieces out. Same again, you can go this way. If you go that way, you're going to waste your papers. If you go this way, it fits across your paper. And a letter size, you're going to get a lot more mileage because you'll get a little bit left over. And A4 size, it just fits, just fits across the width. So you'll get 3 pieces. So you get 1, 2, 3. So you get 3 pockets out of a sheet. And so once you've cut your vellum out, same again. All you need to do is mark your score line there and there. Pencil line there and a pencil line there. And do the same on the other side. Get your scoreboard. Gently score that so you don't rip through your paper. You're better off going through it twice than you are going too heavy-handed. So light pass and then another light pass. There's two styles you can make out of this one pattern. I'll show you the second one after I've showed you this one. Right, now your shorter piece is the bottom, your wider piece is the top. So just get that there, square it up at the edge here and here, and then flatten it down. This one's a little bit easier to fold than the other pocket because it's a bit wider and it's narrow. So this one's much easier to do. So I'm going to turn it around to make it easier again. Find that score line and follow it along so it's square. Right, so when you turn it back around, there is your little pocket ready to go. The reason I stitched that down here and across the bottom here is so that it doesn't poof like that, poof up. We want it to lay nice and flat. So we have these little holders here for the bottom. So we need some form of holder to hold this flap down. Now for this one, what we might do, just say if I use that as the photograph, you then need to work out what you're going to use for your closure. So you don't want it to be too distracting. You want it to complement your photograph. So you could use, say, this one here is going to be a little bit too big. But if we made a smaller one, that would be perfect. So let's do that. So we have I'm going to make a 1 1/4 inch disc. And I'm going to get a piece of travel paper and I'm going to cut a piece off this that's a 1 inch piece. Okay, so that will look pretty good. I don't think that's going to be too big because that one there is pretty big. Distress ink the edge, whether you want black or brown. It's got some browns in there, so let's go for some browns. So it doesn't matter how I glue this on here because it's a circle. What matters is how I place it onto here when I'm done. Glue it to the center. I think I like it to be that way. So I'm going to glue it toward the bottom. So once you've figured out where your shape is, then just turn it over that way and I'm just going to put some glue on the bottom. All that's going to do is act like a pin because then I'm going to sew that down. And I'm going to turn it back over and glue that in the center. I'll let that dry just a little bit. So it looks good already and I haven't even got any stitches on there. Now to finish this off, I'll take the photo out. Now I need to put some stitches across the top here. Even though on the instructions I've said you can put a couple of dots of glue here, say there and there, you don't really need to because it's already, once you crease the vellum, it holds itself flat down, so you don't need to do that. So what we need to do is open this piece back up and we're just going to stitch across the bottom here like this. Just a few little stitches across the bottom. We're not stitching this all the way through that side to that side. If you do that, you're going to shorten your piece here and it'll look a bit strange because it won't go all the way down the bottom. So we're only going to put a stitch through this folded piece here. So we open that up. I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to stitch that. Then I'm going to fold that piece down. I'm going to stitch through the two pieces here at the top, making sure that I'm sewing on the top side and the top side. I'll be back in a second. When you pull your stitches through to the back, make sure you're pulling them the right side. So we go to the back of this, pull that loop again and pull all your stitches to the back. This will make sure that your front is nice and tidy. I'll tie them off and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so this one's now finished and ready to use. I've cut my photo out and I've used a little bit of this hickory smoke to go around just on the edge to just get rid of that white paper, just to give it a little bit of highlight. And it really does make a difference and just gives it a little bit of a border. So that's ready to go into a travel style journal. When you stitch that there, you're going to lose a little bit of your length, and you'll notice that on the instruction sheet I've showed how deep that is there, because it's shorter, because you'll lose a bit of the height because of the stitches. So you need to make sure you pick a photo that's going to fit inside that area. That looks really cool. You've got the option to round the corners. I've done this one square and I've done these with the rounded corners, and I've put that on the instruction sheet as well, that you've got that option to do that. But these little round discs look just as good as a fussy cut shape. So do a few of each because they do look really, really good. And like I said, they can go in pockets, or you can glue them directly onto your page. So you would then just put some glue in a square all the way across the back here, glue that straight down into your journal, and you still can get your photo out. No matter what you do, you can get your tweezers and just come in off the side and pull your photo in and out. That's a bit tight because I've only just made this photograph fit, so it's not going to fall out. And that's in there to stay. You can put it on a slight angle to make it look good. You can put some more photos that aren't in a picture frame like that. There are so many things that you can do to make this little picture pocket look fantastic in your journal. So give them a go. They're not that difficult to make. I think they're reasonably easy once you get these lines folded nice and straight. They work quite well. Now I'll just show you one more style that you can make. This is just another tiny little one that's a variation of this one. You go about it the same way. You would cut your pattern piece, and just say you didn't have enough vellum to go all the way down like that. You've got a little off-cut piece, and say that's a bit shorter. To make this little one up to measure, we just need a little platform for it to sit on that folds toward the back, and then we're going to stitch it at the front like this. So it's made to measure. Each picture you make, like this picture, is not the same size as this picture, and I'll show you how you do that. So we need to fold this, that we've got the back is going to be level here. So this back piece is level with the photograph. We need to fold this over towards the top, but you've got to have enough room for the stitches to go in there. And then you've got your fold line here. If I take this out, you'll see it better. So your fold line here, which is this piece here, needs to go there. So you need enough room for your stitches there, and then you need enough room for a little platform for the photo to sit on here. So if you work that out to be around about, and we fold that very last, so that way we know it's going to fit properly. I'm going to sew that there, Oh, sorry, I'm going to fold that there. Now I'm going to round the top corners. Just use your corner punch. Oh, actually, I should have checked the width first. All right, so I know that that's going to fit in there. So I need to make sure that it's going to fit my photo, of course. Get it to the right width. I got a bit carried away there. Cut it to the right width and then trim your corners. Okay, so we're not putting this all the way up here. We're going to stitch this first, and then this will sit up against those stitches. All right, so I'll just head over to the machine and I'll stitch that across the top first. Now you can just do random messy stitches. You do whatever you like, all zigzag, all straight stitch, or a combination of both. If you don't have a sewing machine, just put a bit of washi tape across the top there and a staple. Staple it first and then put the washi tape. You just need it to be held nice and tight. The idea of the stitching is to hold that fold line flat and nice and tight. Just put a staple there and a piece of washi over the top of the staple. Put it over the top and then fold it so that it's covering the top and the back. The front, the top and the back, and that would look pretty good too. Pulling these stitches to the back and tying them off, because this is a feature. So anything that's a feature, just put that little bit of extra work into it. It's so worth it. Right, now we've got our first area done. We're going to sit that in there. Snug. Don't push it up to the stitches too tight, just snug to there. Then we're going to work out where it's going to fold. So we'll bring back the score board, straighten that back up and just do a score line across the bottom here. I actually need it to be scored right across the bottom of the photograph because that's where I want it to fold. And that's finished. It just sits in there. It doesn't move. It doesn't go anywhere. It's got to go that way though. Remember that, so that it looks like it hasn't got that fold line in the front there. And it looks so pretty in your journal. See, it doesn't matter what size it is. Make it to measure. And that will go into a happy mail or a pocket or a side tuck, wherever you want it to go. These are great little picture frames. I've got one more to show you that's a little baby one. Just say you're making a baby journal. And this is pre-printed. You buy your vellum printed like this and just glue that into your page. If you've got a little decorative baby trim, this is just an idea to give you something a little bit different for a baby journal, and you could put a little photo of baby in here as well. And that would look cute. Super cute. You can theme this up if you've got some vellum that's got a really soft, make sure it's a soft print like that. This is like 50% or 30% of the image. It's not a dark printed image. It's very, very light. Okay, so there's our little picture pockets. You could put as many or as few as you like in your journal. You could use black thread, pink thread, green thread, any colour thread you like. I'm Donna. Thanks for watching and bye for now.